Admiral Zara Voss stood on the bridge of her flagship, the Defiant Dawn, watching the holographic display shimmer with incoming data streams. The Galactic Imperium's massive fleet hung in space like metallic vultures, their hulls gleaming with the arrogance of 1,000 conquered worlds. They had come expecting another easy victory, another planet to add to their endless collection of subjugated civilizations. They were about to learn how wrong they could be. "Admiral," called Lieutenant Commander Chen from the communications array, his voice tight with barely controlled excitement. "All defense platforms are online. The orbital ring is fully operational, and the planetary shield generators are at maximum output." Zara nodded, her steel-gray eyes never leaving the tactical display. Kepler 442b had been dismissed by Imperial intelligence as a backwater agricultural world peaceful farmers who would surrender at the first sight of their battleships. The Empire's scouts had reported a simple colony with basic technology, hardly worth a second thought. What they hadn't seen were the underground cities, the hidden shipyards, the decades of careful preparation. What they couldn't have known was that Kepler 442b was home to some of the galaxy's most brilliant military strategists and engineers refugees from a dozen worlds the Empire had already consumed. "Signal from the Imperial flagship, Admiral," Chen announced. "They're demanding our immediate surrender." "Put them through," Zara commanded, straightening her uniform. The main view screen flickered to life, revealing the stern face of Imperial Admiral Thane Koros. His ceremonial armor gleamed with medals torn from defeated enemies, his cybernetic eye glowing red with augmented targeting systems. "Colony Administrator," Koros began, his voice dripping with condescension. "I am Admiral Koros of the 73rd Imperial Fleet. You will lower your pathetic defenses and prepare for annexation. Comply, and your people will be granted the privilege of serving the Empire. Resist, and—" "Admiral Koros," Zara interrupted, her voice calm as space itself. "I am Admiral Zara Voss, commanding officer of the Kepler Defense Force. Your reputation precedes you. 17 worlds burned, millions enslaved, countless cultures erased." She paused, letting her words sink in. "Today, that ends." Koros laughed, a sound like breaking glass. "Defense Force. I see no fleet, Administrator. Only a handful of civilian vessels and some outdated orbital stations. Stand down before I demonstrate why the Empire rules half the galaxy." "You're looking in the wrong place," Zara replied, with a cold smile. The space around Kepler 442b suddenly erupted with activity. What Koros had dismissed as civilian vessels shed their camouflaged hulls, revealing sleek warships bristling with quantum torpedoes and plasma cannons. The outdated orbital stations came alive with massive railguns that had been hidden within their civilian facades. Most dramatically, the planet's 3 moons suddenly moved massive engines, igniting as the hollow artificial satellites revealed themselves as mobile battle stations. But the true surprise came from beneath the planet's surface. Launch bays, hidden in mountainsides, opened like the eyes of sleeping giants, disgorging fighter squadrons that had been training in secret for years. The ocean floors split apart as submarine-like spacecraft emerged from underwater hangars, their hulls designed to operate in both water and the vacuum of space. "Impossible," Koros breathed, his composure finally cracking. "Our scouts reported." "Your scouts saw what we wanted them to see," Zara cut him off. "The Empire has grown fat on easy victories, Koros. You've forgotten that sometimes the prey fights back." The first exchange of fire lit up the void like a violent aurora. Imperial dreadnoughts, built for intimidation and the bombardment of helpless worlds, found themselves outmaneuvered by smaller, faster Kepler ships designed specifically for fleet combat. The colonists had studied every Imperial battle for decades, learning their tactics, identifying their weaknesses. Commander Sarah Okafor, led Phoenix Squadron through the Imperial formation, her pilots weaving between the massive enemy ships like dancers, avoiding falling trees. Their fighters were equipped with experimental phase shields that could briefly become intangible, allowing them to pass through Imperial barriers and strike at vulnerable systems. Meanwhile, Captain Marcus Rivera commanded the submarine spacecraft Deep Strike, using its waterborne origins to approach the Imperial fleet from an unexpected vector directly below their formation, where their sensors were weakest. His vessel's biomechanical hull, grown rather than built, absorbed scanner pings like a sponge absorbs water. The battle raged for hours, but gradually the tide turned. The Empire's ships, magnificent as they were, had been designed to frighten primitives and bombard planets from orbit. The Kepler Defense Force had built their entire fleet for one purpose: defeating the Galactic Imperium. As the Imperial flagship Iron Fist began listing to starboard, its shields failing under concentrated fire from the 3 moon stations, Admiral Koros appeared on screen one final time. His perfect uniform was torn, his cybernetic eyes sparking from battle damage. This is impossible," he snarled. "The Empire is eternal. We have conquered 1,000 worlds. And we're the world that conquers you," Zara replied simply. The Iron Fist exploded in a brilliant flash of light, taking Admiral Koros and his arrogance with it. The remaining Imperial ships, suddenly leaderless and facing an enemy they had never trained to fight, began to retreat in disorder. As the last Imperial vessel disappeared into hyperspace, carrying news of their defeat back to the Empire's core worlds, Zara allowed herself a moment of satisfaction. Around Kepler 442b, the hidden fleet began to emerge fully from their concealment. Hundreds of ships that had been built in secret, crewed by refugees who had fled Imperial tyranny, all waiting for this moment. The Empire had expected submission. Instead, they had awakened something they had never faced before, a world that had been preparing for war from the moment of its founding. The hunters had become the hunted, and across the galaxy, other oppressed worlds would soon learn that the Empire was not invincible. The rebellion had begun.